Okay, today we're doing a outside video, traipsing through the forests of Bristol, and I'm going to tell the story of when I went traveling for 2 years and 8 months. Where's the camera? 2 years and 8 months. Gosh, thick undergrowth. Okay, so it was 2008, and we decided to go traveling. Okay, this is a bit much. Okay, I'm back on a better trail now. So, 2008, decided to go traveling around the world. North America, India, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. And I saved up with my guitar teaching and my few arts council projects and stuff. I saved up €7,000. We thought it might go for 6 months. But actually, we traveled until money ran out. 2 years and 8 months is how long we made it for. It's quite a long time. And I personally, that was my money, 7,000. I pretty much spent all of that. And that includes all the travel. Yeah, so the purpose of the trip was to do meditation and do like volunteer work at meditation centers, Vipassana centers, in all the countries we went to. I'd say about 95% of the time we were either doing meditation or volunteer work that's like cooking in the kitchen or helping run the courses. So that's why the money lasted so long, because like for months at a time we'd be at a center and we wouldn't get paid, but we wouldn't have much expenses apart from maybe taking a break every couple of weeks and going into a town and having something to eat. So it needed very little money, just traveling from place to place, and the very odd time staying in a hotel. But so the trip started with a week in San Francisco, which was marred by me doing something stupid, which was, I believe it was the morning of my wife's birthday, and it was the day before. We were staying in like San Francisco downtown, and my wife saw like a charity shop, Goodwill, and she's like, I've got a couple of things I don't want, I'm gonna throw them in there. Do you have anything? And I was like, yeah, I'm not wearing these jeans, here, take these. So she brought them and gave them to Goodwill. And then the next morning was my wife's birthday, and we woke up and my wife was doing some yoga. I was meditating, and it just came to me, boom. My cash that I had, or it was half of all of the cash that I had, was $500. Spending money for San Francisco. I had hidden that cash in the back pocket of that very same pair of jeans that I'd given to her to give to Goodwill. So once I realized that, I jumped up and I didn't say, oh my God, I've lost $500. No, I did not. I just said, I'm going out, and I ran out. And I ran to that Goodwill store. I think I flagged a taxi then and got in a taxi and went to the Goodwill store, and I ran in and I asked them, when were the bins emptied? And they were like, probably this morning. And I was like, no. And then I jumped in another taxi and went to the main Goodwill center for where everything goes to. And I was like, asked them, they're like, no one's allowed in. It's like tons and tons of stuff going in there. They were like, nah, we'll keep an eye out, but it's probably gone. So this took like an hour or so 2 hours maybe. But by the time I got back to where we were staying, my wife was just like, where the hell were you? And on this trip we had no phones. We didn't have phones for 2 years and 8 months. We didn't have a very sparse internet connection. We just didn't need phones. It was a brilliant aspect of it. But she was just at home going, where the hell is this guy? And then when I got back to the apartment and I was like, told her what happened, and she was so annoyed. And I was just so annoyed at myself. And she was like, come on, we're going back to the like processing center for Goodwill. I was like, there's no point, they can't do anything. No, we had to go back there and again and ask them again and again. They were like, no, you can just, keep an eye out. And like for the next week, anytime I was near Goodwill, I just had to go in and look for the trousers. But it was like, no way, needle in a haystack. So, the only thought that gave me any solace was like, somebody without much money is gonna go in and buy a pair of jeans in a Goodwill store and then be like, boom, I found 500. Or someone working in the Goodwill processing center, which, cool, keep it. So, but after that, that memory would come back and, it would hurt me every time for a long time. I was like, be meditating, I'd be like, oh God, I need that $500. Oh God, why did I do that? Why did I do that? It was quite the lesson, I must say. So anyway, that was San Francisco. And at the end of San Francisco, we got on an Amtrak train in LA. I think we got a bus to LA and then a train from LA to Austin, Texas, which took 3 days. It was lovely. We had our own little cabin, and then we spent a few days in Austin, Texas. And then we went to Massachusetts, where there's a center, and we started doing meditation and serving. It's called, the volunteering, and it was great, really good. And then after a while, we went up to Canada for 6 weeks, to Ontario center there. It was a great time. And then we flew out to India in September, and my first time in India, arrived, it was monsoon, did a 20-day course, my first long course. It was silence for 19 days. It was very tough, but it was like this. It was raining on that 20-day course, heavily, thick clouds. It's too windy here. For about 13 days in a row, there was no blue sky whatsoever. It was a thick cloud. It was either raining heavily or just not raining, but heavy, thick cloud. And oh my God, really so tough. It just affected my mood every day. I'm like, oh God, and I'm sitting meditating all day long, and the rain is hammering down, and the gong for lunch is so quiet I couldn't even hear it. I was like, oh, is it lunch yet? I can't even hear the gong. I was in misery. And then on about the 13th or 14th day, when there was a tiny little crack in the clouds and a tiny bit of sun poked out, and I was like elated by that. I was like, oh wow, I'm happy again. My mood was so dependent on the weather. I was like, oh my God, this is a lesson. And then what happened? It's happening right now, the sun's out. Then the last couple of days of that 20-day, I started being like, as time was going faster, I was like, oh, I can do this. Day 17, 18, day 19, and then the last day when we talk again is all fun. Hey. So it rained, but then monsoon ended, and went around India for a year, northern India, did the yatra, the pilgrimage to the place where the Buddha was born and got enlightened and passed away, and taught the first sutta, those 4 places. That was amazing. And what else? Went to Nepal to extend the visa. We did that thing. I think we had a 6-month visa. So yeah, after Lumbini, went to Nepal, Kathmandu, couple of days there. I got really sick in Kathmandu. It was like, we were walking around Kathmandu, you know, having a good time. I started, it was a little chillier than it had been, and I started feeling chilly, and then got a kind of fever, and I lay down. I was really shivering, and then after an hour, I got up, and my wife looked at me and she was like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with your face?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And my lips I had these awful looking sore, like swollen, like 2 or 3 of them, just huge, like rough ranuncules, just, oh, stop. It was horrible. It was like, we were like really worried for a minute. I was like, what the hell is this? But just went to pharmacy and got some, like, not medicine, but like just some disinfectant stuff to put on them, and face masks to like stop anything getting in the sores. And those things like burst, and oh my God, they looked absolutely, I looked like just terrible. It looked like I'd been climbing Everest. Yeah, that was like, it looked like a mountain climber who just been like, had his face frozen off or something. So I went to another course then, and we went to a center in Nepal, and by the end of 10 days there, I was kind of looking a bit more normal, but I still had the sores. It just hadn't completely gone away, but they were much less grotesque. And then we went from there, we flew to Leh Ladakh, I think, was it? No, it wasn't. It was where did we go from there? From Nepal, I remember. We flew back to Delhi or Mumbai or somewhere. We went back to India again with our new visas and 6 more months, and we did a lot more courses and service, and then we went up to Ladakh then for 2 months, an amazing Leh Ladakh in the Himalayas, and it was quite a lot of adventures up there, like very, very remote places, the most remote places I've ever been. Like Leh Ladakh is, I think it's the highest airport in the world. It's like 3 or 3.5 kilometers above sea level. When you fly in there, it's like the first 24 hours you're like, whoa, it's real dream-like, very, very dreamy. And then you get accustomed to the height and the thin air. And one of the places where the courses was a valley that was like 3 hours drive out, you know, middle of nowhere, Himalayas. There's no electricity, there's no running water. You're drinking glacial melt water there, which is like millions of years old water, pure. It's way above any pollution, is way above, higher than anyone lives. So it's amazing nature, amazing vibe up there. And after Ladakh, we went to Sri Lanka, actually, all the way from Ladakh to Sri Lanka. And then, it was too windy. And after Ladakh, we went back to India again. And then we went to Burma, which was the highlight of the trip, really. Myanmar, place where our meditation tradition is from. Well, it's originally from India, but 25 centuries ago. And then we went to Burma, and then stayed there for a very long time. And then in the 1970s or late 60s, 69, I think it went from Burma to India again, and from India around the world. So anyway, Burma, 1 month, incredible time in Burma. Really want to go back someday. Incredible people. Obviously can't go now. There's this horrible war there, and it's really messed up, and I feel really bad for the people of Myanmar. And I did some fundraiser compilation for Myanmar, actually, which you can still buy, Trax for Myanmar, some great tracks on it, and put it in the link in the description. And then after Myanmar, we flew to Australia. Well, did we go from, I think we went from Burma, via Thailand, just the airport, to Australia, to New Zealand for 6 months. So 6 months in New Zealand at the meditation center there, we were living on a bus, converted into living space, real like wood panels everywhere and mice living, like, you know, you had to catch them and take them away, far away. So we wouldn't like kill them or anything, we just catch them in a trap, and then I'd cycle them like a mile away and let them away. They probably came straight back, I don't know. And anyway, it was kind of rustic, and it was great. 6 months, loved it there. Kind of doing center management work, working in the kitchen manager, that kind of thing. And then we went to Australia. Started another long course, 45 days that time. Longest one I ever did. 43 days of silence in a row, meditating 12 hours a day. That was, I mean, I came at the end of this trip, so my mind was pretty, it wasn't as hard as the 20 day, for example. I'd become quite calm, but I don't think I achieved any really deep insights or anything during that time. I just furthered my progress a tiny bit calmer. But anyway, when that ended, we basically got on a plane and flew back to Ireland from Australia. That was 2 years and 8 months. And arrived back in Ireland, didn't know what I was going to do. We actually thought we would move away pretty quickly and go to Australia or somewhere else to live. I kind of came back to Ireland and I started doing loads of different stuff. Like, I was putting on jazz gigs, I was playing jazz gigs, I was trying to write pop music, I was doing music production, I was doing like 12 different music related things, teaching guitar, teaching in New Park. I was really trying to find out how to make a living out of music, because it was time to be, you know, a good citizen with it, earn money. That's what was in my mind. And I really wanted to play and make music, but it was very hard to make any money out of it. Especially because, you know, if you're trying to build a career and then you just go off grid for 2 years and 8 months, it's not the best idea. And like, I'd kind of built things up pretty well. Before that, I went to Red Bull Music Academy, and, you know, people who were participants in the year I went, like Odyssey and Flying Lotus and Nina Kravitz, all those three just went on and blew up and had huge careers. But I was like, now I'm going off grid. They hadn't blown up yet. I didn't even know they were getting big until years later. But yeah, I was just more interested in meditating at that time. I was like, let's go deep in the mind and see what's in there, kind of stuff. That was my main focus in my life right then. It was the biggest break I've ever had from music. I didn't make music or play the guitar for 2 years and 8 months, and it was nearly every day before that since I was 12, and since I came back it's nearly every day as well. So, but it was amazing to have that break. I've never wanted for ideas again. Actually, I should say one thing. The only music making that I did on that trip was, I had a little notebook, like a moleskin notebook with like score notation. So I did actually write some music. Like when we were in Ladakh in the Himalayas, I would sit there and write notes, just notation right into the notebook. You know, I'm not saying I could hear in my head this music and I was writing it down. Not exactly, but I was capturing some ideas. I didn't do much, but I had an idea for a piece when I came home, and that piece was never played, although I did try to get it played, but never happened. It was for, I can't even remember, some kind of combination of 4 instruments. Anyway, so I did a tiny bit, but that was like, I didn't play or really didn't listen to music. I maybe listened to music 3 times on my iPod in 2 years, 8 months. So it was a very huge break, and it did re-energize me. It gave me I mean, I had so many ideas. My mind was like so clear and just energetic. When I came back, it was like ideas would just fire out of my mind, and it's been like that really ever since then. So that was a great benefit of the trip, and I just felt really good. I felt really happy. I've never regretted that trip. It was the best thing I've ever done in my life, and it kind of set me up for all the years following. And I never regretted 1 second. I never missed work or Ireland or home or anything. The whole time we were away traveling, I was like 100% sure I was where I was supposed to be, and I absolutely loved it. And that is the story of the time I went traveling around the world for 2 years and 8 months.